So I decided to challenge myself to make some spinach lasagna using only garden ingredients. And right now in the winter, I have a lot of spinach in the garden. It's been doing very well. I am also using a few store-bought ingredients, and I'll show you those here later in the video. But this is what I do for fun. I love to cook, and I love to use my ingredients that I've grown in my garden. But you can make this with all store-bought ingredients, and a lot of these you probably already have. So here are the ingredients. You're welcome to jot them down. They'll be below the video if you want to print them out. Also, if you're watching this on a mobile device, you can do a screenshot, so that way you'll have your ingredients and it'll be easy to take to the grocery store. For those of you who don't have a garden and you're just interested in the recipe, go ahead and you can click this box and it'll skip over all of this. I'm just going to go through some of the garden ingredients. So I had a beautiful harvest of basil over the summer, so I froze it and I'll use some of that. I also dried a lot of oregano, and Greek oregano is my favorite, and I have a great harvest really every year, and I use it all winter long. I like to use my dehydrator to do this, but of course you can just hang it up, and I showed you that in my mint drying video. One of the paste tomatoes that I grew this year, it's called Jersey Devil. It was very productive late in the season. So I went ahead and I made some dishes with it, but I had a lot that I was not able to make my dish in the summer because it was just a busy summer. And so I roasted them and I went ahead and froze those in some mason jars. And we are going to use fennel seed for this recipe, and if you happen to be growing fennel, this is my dill plant. This is how you save the seed. You save it just like you would dill, okay? And now for my spinach harvest, this will be my fresh ingredient. So we're going to use this. You need a lot of it. You'll need about almost anywhere from 12 ounces to a pound of fresh spinach. I'm also going to use some fresh parsley. Now this is a little flat Italian onion, and it's called a cipollini. And then I'm also using some simple cheese. It's a lot like ricotta, so that's what I'll be using. And I want to go ahead and prep my spinach leaves. I took the stems out and chopped them. I also went ahead and peeled my garlic, and I cleaned it up a good bit there. Also, I did the same thing with my onions. I'm only going to use 2 of them. You can certainly put more onions if that's what you like. And then of course my fresh and frozen and dried herbs. And now I'm going to use this pasta flour. I got this at Walmart. You can use all-purpose flour. I'm also adding semolina, and that I had to get at a specialty grocery store. I got the pasta flour at Walmart, okay? So like I said, when I used to make pasta, I just used all-purpose, but since I found this other pasta flour, this is what I've been using. So we'll just add 2 eggs to this, and we'll just gently start to incorporate it together. We want to start bringing it together. I felt like I did need a little bit more water, and that's okay. It just means that my eggs probably weren't big enough, okay? So my eggs were large. I probably needed an extra large. They were actually pretty small larges. I see that it's coming together nicely, so now we need to knead it. I like to knead it for about 5 to 8 minutes because it really makes it tougher, and I like that little bite when I eat my pasta. So now we're going to let it rest. Go ahead and wrap it real well. We want to make sure we get out all the air, and we're just going to let it rest while we get the rest of the lasagna filling ready, okay? So to my pan, I'm going to go ahead and just toast off some fennel seeds. I'm on about medium heat. And now I can add my quart of the tomatoes. Some of these are still pretty whole in here. And remember, I roasted these, so they have a nice, deep, rich flavor, okay? And we are just going to reduce the tomatoes by about half. In other words, we're just going to let a lot of that moisture evaporate. I'm going to go ahead and add the oregano and some red pepper flakes. We'll go ahead and add some salt. I'm going to bring it up to a boil, then I'm going to reduce it and let it simmer, and let it reduce by about half, okay? And so now I want to go ahead and get my onions sauteed in a little olive oil with a pinch of salt for about a minute, and then I'll add my garlic until it smells fragrant, and I'll set that aside. So I'll prepare my cheese filling. So we'll put our simple cheese in here along with some Parmesan, a little olive oil. I'll go ahead and add the onions and the garlic that I just sauteed. I'll go ahead and add those to this as well. And 1 egg. And let's go ahead and pulse that down. Now I can finish adding my filling. You can certainly do all of this in a food processor. I'll add a little black pepper along with my olive oil and my fresh parsley. Let's go ahead and mix all of this down. And there we go, it's ready. Now my tomatoes have reduced by half, and there's not a whole lot of liquid in here any longer. I just don't want my lasagna to be real runny, so that's why I reduced it. And so now we can add our chopped spinach, and we just want this to cook down a little bit. So on low heat, I just let that wilt down pretty good. And now I can add my frozen basil leaves. That's how I like to store my basil. I freeze it. I think the flavor is wonderful. I do not prefer the flavor of dried basil, however. So we'll just cut off some of those leaves in there. I like a little bite of basil. And set that aside. Now I can get my pasta sheets ready. Now you can use just a rolling pin for this. You do not have to have a pasta machine. I've had my pasta machine about 7 years, and I probably have used it 25 to 30 times. So it's not something I use a lot, but it is nice to have. So I'm just cutting my pasta dough into a manageable size, and on the instructions for your pasta machine, it'll show you how to use it. I just need to put it at the lowest setting now, and they're actually on Amazon. If you want to get one, they're about $20–$25. The kids love to do this, okay? They love to turn that handle. You can make spaghetti noodles with it and fettuccine also, all right? So we enjoyed that when my kids were a lot younger. And sometimes I'll just fold over the tapered edge there just so I can get it a little bit more rectangle, and then I'll cut it down to size to fit my pan, okay? I'm just using a little casserole dish, and I'll just lightly dust my sheets in some semolina flour, and we want to do that so they don't stick together. So now we're ready to assemble the lasagna, and I'll start with the tomatoes and the spinach on the bottom. Add a couple of sheets of pasta. You can just do this very rough and rustic. We'll go ahead and add a little bit of our cheese mixture. A little bit more of the tomatoes and spinach. And now I want to use my bechamel sauce. I showed you how to make this in an earlier video, and this is completely optional. You could put mozzarella on here instead. And then I put a little bit of fresh grated Parmesan cheese. And just continue layering it like that. And like I said, I really love the bechamel sauce on here, but you can certainly use mozzarella cheese, no problem. And then our final lasagna sheets. We'll finish it with a little bit more of the bechamel sauce and some fresh grated Parmesan cheese. You can get this grater at Dollar Tree. $1. It does a pretty good job too. And now we'll pop it in the oven that I had preheated at 375 and want to cook it for about 45 minutes. And then it will be beautiful. You just want to cook it till however you like it. I like it browning on top just a little bit. And we're going to let it cool for about 15 to 20 minutes. It'll still be very hot. You could let it cool longer if you want. And now we're ready to eat. Hopefully you've tossed together a nice fresh salad to go with it. So I hope you can give this wonderful recipe a try. Of course, you can always add sausage or something like that if you want to, but like I said, I tried to limit it to my garden ingredients, and I really loved it. It was so delicious. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please let me know by giving me a big thumbs up. Also, feel free to share it on your favorite social media. I sure would appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching again, and y'all have a beautiful day.